Hey, welcome back to the show, my friends. We're doing something different tonight. We're going live. There's just too much to talk about, too much crazy stuff going on right now. So, uh, my friend here, Matt Orton from the Drunken Cryptids, welcome back to the show. I think the last time and the first time that I did a live, it was with you, and we were talking about the drone flap that was out on the East Coast around Jersey. Little over a year ago now.
Yeah, it has been a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And your show is just like blowing up. I love
it. Well, thanks. And I appreciate that. And you're doing a great job as well. You've got your regular show, and now you've got what is it? Coffee with Cryptids as well.
Yeah.
Show.
Yeah. Spooky Coffee. Yeah. Spooky Coffee on Sundays, a live show. And started with you. I was doing something different. I wanted to bring a guest on, talk about some stuff. And so I'll bring a guest in about a recent episode, like this past one. They got some really interesting paranormal footage, and I couldn't debunk it. So after we did the interview, I checked it out. So I put them on live so we could share it. And I can't debunk it.
Well, that's what we're always looking for, right? The things are not easily explained away. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yep. And then I'm doing another show called Frisky Friday, and the first episode drops this Friday.
Good Lord, man.
I'm retired. But this weekend, I'm also going to be in Ozark, Arkansas. They're doing town hall meeting and investigations all weekend, and I'm emceeing and speaking at that. So
very cool. Very
cool. Spooky Coffee will be from the woods Sunday morning.
What's it say here? Studio chat, 2 people. That must be you and me, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't see anybody jumping in just yet.
Okay.
Wait, that's private chat. Let me go to comments. Here we go. StreamYard. Oh, Miss Sponsors of Mullets jumped in and said, "What's up going on, fellas?"
Oh, hey there. There you go. I had the wrong tab.
That's what I did too. What's up, John? So that's John at Miss Sponsors of Mullets. He's got a great show.
Awesome. I'll have to check that out.
As a matter of fact, John, you need to link up with him because Eric has some amazing encounters.
Well, I mean, 60 years, dude. If I haven't had some encounters by now, I'm doing something wrong. But yeah, no, good to have you with us. Would you say his name was John?
John. Yeah, John.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, and his show is called Miss Monsters of Mullets. He does a great interview style like we do. So but he breaks in, but he brings in some of the B movie scream queens and stuff, and interviews them as well.
Awesome.
So
very cool. All right, so what do we got on the docket tonight? We've got an apparent flap of Bigfoot sightings in Northeast Ohio. We've got now. Let me share this first. Basically, this is what's going on in Ohio right now. My fiance Stacy was nice enough to share this with me earlier today, and I was like, "Yep, that pretty much sums it up: sun, tornadoes, snow, meteors, Bigfoot."
It's Ohio. I mean, that sums up Ohio right there. I mean, other than the Browns and the Bengals.
that just that cracked me up. So,
oh yeah, John's in Indiana as well, by the way.
Oh, is he? What part?
Close to the border of Ohio.
What part of Indiana are you in? So anyway, we've got Portland. Nice. So we've got a flap of Bigfoot sightings in Northeast Ohio, which to me warrants a lot of conversation about.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a missing general, retired general, McCasland. I mean, he basically just gone. I mean, he'd be a perfect example of missing 411. Then there's some other weird tie-ins with former associates of his who was working on some kind of a metal alloy that he was a part of, and she disappeared about a year ago. Same circumstances. She was out hiking, was with somebody that she knew was about 30 yards away from her, ahead of her. They turned back to look at her. She waved, and next time they turned around, she was gone. Hasn't seen anything about her again. So, excuse me, kind of weird on that note. A 7-ton meteor decides to fall out of the sky over where? Ohio. And then, you know, now there's all the Bigfoot pages and everybody's in an uproar now because apparently there is a new documentary that's going to be coming out sometime soon. I believe the name of it is Capturing Bigfoot. There's a tagline to it as well. I don't remember what that is, but apparently the guy who produced this documentary has come across newly found footage of what appears to be a staging of the Bigfoot that most people would say was Patty in the film, the PG film, Patterson Gimlin film. You know, I got to go back to Stacy Brown Jr., who has been on the show a couple of times and was gracious enough to be a speaker at Bigfoot and Brews the second time around. Great guy, love him to death. But man, he'll die on the hill that there is so much information out there that the PG film was indeed a hoax. He hopes that it's not, but he says it's hard for him to argue with all of the things that he has found out about it. I, on the other hand, maybe foolishly, I don't know. We'll see soon enough, I guess. Have always bought in hook, line, and sinker that the PG film was legit. Even when it was in its shakiest, most poorly received condition.
No, I agree completely. So I had an in-depth conversation with somebody you and I were just talking about before we went live earlier this morning, and we weren't going to talk about it, and we spent about 30 minutes on it, to be honest with you.
On the Ohio?
No, on the PG.
Oh, on the PG.
And so we're pretty much on the same page to where, first off, you know, the evidence are coming out saying there's going to be in this documentary is showing them putting in a costume,
right?
You know, and walking and doing filming like that. You know, Patterson was in the process of trying to film a movie,
right? Yeah,
and that's something. So, you know, when it comes, the whole picture for the Patterson Gimlin film is, you know, there's that one snapshot that we have of Patty walking through the rocks. The backstory is they were trying to film a movie. He was wanting to make a movie, a documentary kind of film thing, and doing a reenactment. What we would do right now, if you and me were to go out and try and film our own series, we'd have somebody dressed up in a costume and kind of walking through the woods and such. So they're going to have footage of that. I think it's shady that 60 years later, after, you know, Dr. Meldrum, who will die on the hill, that's authentic.
Right.
You know, no pun intended.
Actually did die on the hill.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's just, you know,
that was not a joke. I mean, but
no, it's not. Yeah, but Dr. Meldrum, all about it. And Dr. Meldrum was the one who came into this as a skeptic, and, you know, passed away as a believer.
Yeah.
In it. So, and then you got to look at what, you know, the implications. You know, Bob for 60 years has not changed the story, has not changed any bit of it.
Right.
There
And
was no grave, there's no deathbed confession from, Robert. There's none of that.
yeah. So here's my thing. Patterson's widow, she died some years ago, I believe.
I think she's alive.
Oh, she is alive. Yeah, you're right.
She's part of this.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. She is alive. But so here's the problem with social media and everybody and their brother posting shit. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's bullshit. You don't know what's truth or what's fake. AI has aided in that tremendously as of recently. But what I've read, whether it's true or not, was that Patterson's widow and son have both been compensated rather handsomely for their participation in this documentary. So, one from the standpoint of I forget the name of the gentleman. There's a guy Adley, who actually owned the film, and like Patterson's never made anything off of the film. So, if they had an opportunity after nearly 50 years after his death, they had an opportunity to make some money on something that they had been not necessarily unwilling, but a part of historically. If they had a chance to make some money on it and finally get something out of it, you can't really blame them. If they did it and it's disingenuous, then yeah, I mean, technically you can blame them, but I mean, everybody's trying to make a buck, right? So, whenever you introduce payment for something, what you get in return, I mean, does that negate what they say in this documentary? Again, haven't seen it. I don't believe it's out anywhere yet. It was just shown at some kind of a documentary film festival. But excuse me, like a day after this film festival happened, I mean, everybody and their brother was just, so the PG film is a hoax. And, even Stacey Brown, he's like, he posted something I saw, and it was like, when you find out what you truly believed after so many years was really the truth, and I mean, for me, I think the jury's still out because I haven't seen this documentary and I haven't seen what the evidence is that they're going to put out there for us. But man, can you imagine if it does conclusively prove that it was a hoax? What does that do to this community?
Well, so, I mean, the Patterson Gimlin film in the community has already been a topic of controversy already. It doesn't matter one way or the other. People have already believed whether it was real or not. Inside the community, I'll be honest with you. Well, real quick, John did say that first contact will happen either Ohio or Indiana. He also said Bob turned down money to come out and say it was fake. And then he just said that the document is released tomorrow. So,
John, do you know where it's going to be released? Is this going to be, like a $24.99 purchase on Amazon.com for the first 3 or 4 months? Or is this going to be something that is released where people can get this for, $3.99 or free or whatever? If you know, let me know. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right. So it's always been controversial right off the bat. And I remember watching, it was some years ago, through the use of AI, athletes, everybody trying to break down her stride, break this down,
Mhm.
because at first, you got to remember for years, we all believed it was a he. It was not a female at all. It was through the use of AI breaking down the footage that it turned out to be a female. So why would you fake a female first and foremost? You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense, especially the time frame.
I agree, and I'm simply playing the devil's advocate.
Oh, no, I'm with you. I'm with you 100% because I've been playing that too.
But in the drawings that Patterson had of a Bigfoot, it was a female.
See, I did not know that part. Oh,
so I'm like,
I just know you can see the muscle move in the video. You can see, when they ran it through the filters, they've ran it through the AI program, everything they've ran it through keeps coming back to the same thing, either A, inconclusive, or B, legit. But again, too, though, I think that for what the document coming out, people are going to believe what they want to believe. They're going to, I think it's going to be one of those, you make your mind up.
There's going to be a segment of people who are changed of mind because of this.
Oh, definitely. But it doesn't take away the fact of what you've encountered, what I've encountered, and what thousands of people have already encountered out there.
Right. And I guess that was a point that I was going to get to as well is, even if it does come out, which would be tragic. I mean, because we collectively as a community of Bigfoot enthusiasts, researchers, I mean, there are far more many of us that have revered that as the Holy Grail than anything else. So if, and I keep saying if, this guy who produced the documentary, if he did come up with some legitimate, believable footage that, to me, in my gut, makes me say, they got me.
Well, let me help you on that one too, though. Okay, so we can make a documentary. There was a documentary of what was it? Some years ago, they came out with a true crime episode series where they broke down, they went interviewed, and they believed they arrested the wrong guy, and he's in jail, and it wasn't him that did the murder. They did it from one perspective. If this guy wants to make a film to dispute and to discredit the Patty film, he is going to direct it and produce it in such a manner to where when it's finished, we're going to be going, okay, it's fake. Wow. Because that's what he wants us to believe.
Right. There'll definitely.
He's not going to show. He won't show both sides of the story.
Yeah, you're probably right. I would expect no less that if this is skewed towards proving it's a hoax, that's the aspect that they're going to come from.
And I think that's what they're going to do with it. I really do, because John says it's going to be. He heard it was going to be on Plex for free. That's just what he read on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, I that would surprise me. I would think that this thing would be coming out with a price tag on it.
With a hype on it, I'm surprised that that maybe changed by now to where it maybe have to be something pay.
Yeah. So, and if that's the case, depending on what the price is, it might be a while before I see it.
It's going to be a long time before I see it, to be honest with you.
It might be one of those things where I just put it on the back burner, and when it gets down under $5, then I'll say, okay.
I'll wait till it drops on Discovery Channel.
Or, well, actually, I might just have to go get an illegal copy of it. So,
yeah, I don't want to make him any money. I mean, just to me, it seems like a lot of clickbait. One of the issues too is when they really launched it on social media and on the channels was a small show who didn't have that many subscribers, that much click, not much watching, and all of a sudden drops this, and now he's in the thousands.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. It feels like a lot of clickbait, a lot of, ooh, we're going to do this. And people have already made their mind up on social media about it.
Everything is clickbait now.
Mhm.
Everything.
I'm not clickbait.
I hate it, and I mean, using AI, the image that I had made for you and I on this show, obviously we're not in the same location. We don't have any pictures of each other together. So that seemed like the most likely way to get us both in the shot and, produce the thumbnail for this video. So, but there's something about it that I still don't like.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know where this is. I don't know where it's all going to lead, but as little time as it's been in its existence for us to be able to play with and do the things that we're doing with it, it's scary. And I'm not saying that it's the Antichrist or anything like that. I'm not saying that shit. It might be, but but I mean, it's a very powerful tool. And
I can AI a conversation.
what are
I can AI a full conversation with pictures and all of you and me, and which will have never existed at all.
Yeah.
And go, look, here it is. Here's the conversation we had.
Yeah.
And all it takes is a screenshot of it. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
And then how do you dispute it?
Yeah.
Because now it's a screenshot, it's a different picture, it's not straight from the AI.
Yeah, I don't like where this is. I don't like where it's headed. And you can see even in the realm of what we do as far as cryptids and paranormal and high strangeness. My God, my feed on Instagram is just filled with horseshit on top of bullshit on top of chicken shit, and it's just piling on top of each other. And, I mean, I've got a good gut. So, and I've done some work with video and film and editing and all the things. So, here's the thing. If it seems too outrageous, if it seems too good to be true, probably is. More than likely is. But some of the stuff that's being put out now is just like, holy crap. And this minuscule attention span that everybody has now, and this need for these quick, short, little blurbs of attention grabbing, whatever it is, to get that dopamine rush or whatever the hell it is everybody's getting from it. It's just it's maddening. I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have tablets, we didn't have any streaming services, anything like that. I mean, I think life changed dramatically when we got our first HBO box, that had the set top box that you went over and you had to click the button, and it would.
We had a dial. It was a dial changer. You had to change it. It was a dial. I remember that.
And that was hey, my buddy Rob's in the chat here. What do you?
What's up, Rob? Oh, so yeah, John said because I did make an AI video of me and John fishing for Jaws, which is actually quite comical to watch.
Yeah.
And John also said, just like the media, they can edit anything to look the way they want it. But what was funny about the AI video we made, when the shark hits the boat, AI made me say, "Oh shit." No lie, John. I don't know if you caught that or not, but I actually said, I mean, I was like, "Oh shit." So
it's crazy.
But I remember that too. Same thing. It was But and I remember when the internet first came out, it was exciting, was new, and now it's everywhere.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's a different world, man. And the world's a shit show right now. We got all this stuff going on, and you try to find some kind of news or headlines or something that's real, that's tangible, that's something that you can like go to work and say, holy shit, did you see we blah, 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 blah. And it's almost taken that from us entirely because, did we bomb Iran? I mean, I think we did, but do we know for sure? Because all this shit is being made up, and I mean, that's a piss poor example, but, I saw something shortly before we got on here that Israel retaliated against Iran and blew up one of their largest, if not the largest, oil field. And in response to that, Iran blew up Israel's largest natural gas producing plant. And I'm like, all right, so everything you guys are doing is jacking up the price of oil, making our gasoline go up again and again and again. And now you're messing with the natural gas supply. I don't know how much or where our natural gas comes from here in Indiana, but if it's coming from over there, I guess we're going to be seeing some rate increases because of that too. But
well, so on that part too, I there was an article about, I think it was sometime last week, to where Iran captured like a whole Delta Force company, that was operating inside the country, and they showed a picture of it, and no, I mean, it was
right, yeah.
No. The guy in front was a 3-star general. You know what I mean? For the U.S. And I was going, no. So, on that token there too, and it's sad now because, through clickbait, like we were talking earlier, even if a celebrity dies, I'm Googling and I'm researching exactly if they did pass away or what's going on.
Right.
So just to double check it, because
you have to now.
Yep.
It's like a prerequisite. You literally can't believe anything that is coming across your Facebook or your Instagram or X. I don't even have X, but I mean, you got to be vigilant, and because if not, there's people out there that just
believe it,
are getting clicks and clicks and likes because they're producing shit just to grab your attention and make you go, oh my God, and not look any further than that. Again, I go back to that minuscule little 10 or 12 second attention span that we seem to have developed over, the past 10 years or however long.
Because of these right here.
Oh yeah. 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 But even that, prior to Facebook, that wasn't a problem. It was with the advent of social media that became a thing.
Yeah, we didn't have this problem with the MySpace.
I'd never had a MySpace. I don't know what that was like. But
I did. It was not even remotely close. We had never had these problems with the MySpace. Tom was our buddy.
Yeah.
Everybody else listening, they're going, yeah, Tom was the man.
All right.
So, you want to do meteorite? What do you want to do?
Well, real quick, let me say, if you're watching, if you're listening, contact.uncomfortable@gmail.com. That's how you can get a hold of me. If you've had a story, an experience, an encounter, and you want to have it shared here on the show, get a hold of me. Same goes for Matt over here. Go ahead and rip off your email address if you got anybody that wants to get a hold of you.
DrunkenCryptids@gmail.com.
We take everybody's encounters,
sin eaters,
and we'll get a hold of you, and we'll get you on the show. Before we get into, I think the Bigfoot flap over in eastern Ohio is kind of the thing that's weighing on me most. But before we do that, let's I want to go back to a video that I sent you. This is back in 2024. And I'll tell you why here in just a minute, because I just received a video and an email from a gentleman from where the hell was he? Uruguay. I can look it up. But he sent me a video that there's a round object in the sky above his home, and his son had his phone and he took the video of it. And I'll pull that up here.
Olha, tá quase atrás da árvore.
If you watch close when he zooms in.
Olha, passou por cima do avião.
Oh, let me restart it.
Tu não estás a ver? Olha, tá quase atrás da árvore.
Tiny little round speck.
Olha, passou por cima do avião.
And then you have this plane that flies by, and for whatever reason, the kid loses sight of or gets distracted, following the UFO and starts following the plane. So to me, that's questionable. But the object, the first object, the round object, was very similar to something that I had seen back in 2024, right outside the doors of this house. And where there was only one there were multiple in my video. And I'm going to go ahead and show that. One last one. So real quick here, before I continue to let this play, I want you guys to look at this video, and I want you to pay attention to the direction that the trees are blowing, because the leaves are showing the backs of the trees. The leaves are inverted. They're backwards, just like what you normally see when, like there's going to be a storm coming and, the leaves flip. So if you watch this video, you'll see that the leaves are blowing with their backs showing. And today is the first day that I went back and rewatched this video, and I noticed this. So the direction that the leaves are blowing on the trees is northeast, probably closer to northeast. But these white, let's call them party balloons, are traveling out of the northwest heading southeast. And you'll be able to tell this. I'm going to restart the video. And again, the direction of the leaves, the way they were blowing, today's the first day I paid attention to that, because I've always been focused on whatever the hell these party balloons are. So here, go ahead, take a look at this.
What in the actual hell? is going on here? Am I losing my freaking mind or what? One last one. Huh.
Okay, so very similar looking object,
Yes.
but considerably more of them.
And they
now-
maintain their formation.
and they maintain their formation. And
Now, you can see a couple of them move a little bit, but they generally maintain,
there's
formation.
actually in the very beginning where you see the cluster of them together. I believe it's one or two of them to the upper right hand corner of the frame. They're actually doing this around each other. But they were going in the wrong direction compared to where the wind was blowing.
Well, the wind may be blowing on, you're at our level down here, and upper atmosphere maybe opposite direction. Hence, tornadoes. Yeah, one of those things. But that was what I was first thinking. But I don't get balloon vibe off of that.
Well,
I don't,
and I don't either. And the reason I say that is because after watching that multiple times, and when I say multiple, I mean I couldn't even guess how many times I've watched that. But there are some of the objects that, and this could be a trick of light, it could be just something based on the distance, further distance away or whatever, but there's some of them that appear to be somewhat translucent and almost kind of phase out. Not totally, but it's a very odd optic vibe to that. Now, that was on the 10th of that was on the 10th of.
was it about the same time the helicopter?
The 10th of August. On the 11th of August, I went to the grocery store. When I got home, I was unpacking the back trunk of my car, and I had, armfuls of plastic bags of groceries. As I walked into the garage to go into the house, I heard a helicopter, and it was loud. I walked in, put the stuff down, came back out, and I heard the helicopter, but I didn't see it. The next day is when this took place directly over my house. They flew to the east side of my house, flew in front of my house. You'll see the turning off to the right, and then come back alongside the west side of my house. But this is that video 2 days later. Nope, wrong one. Shit, now I lost my place. Damn it.
Rob, I don't understand the question. Okay, Matt, I did the Triple T triathlon a couple of years ago in Salt Fork. Was I in the crosshairs of Sasquatch?
So Rob is a triathlete.
Okay.
and he did a triathlon there at Salt Fork a few years ago. He's asking, while he was there, was he in the crosshairs of seeing a Sasquatch?
I think so. I think they're more. I think they're more common than we realize. To be honest with you, they have a higher population. There she is.
So we have that helicopter shows up, and this isn't going the way I planned.
It's like any operation, it never does. Which is something you never want to hear a doctor say.
Image file. Give me the image file. All right, there
Live and unscripted, just like the Drunken Cryptids.
Yeah, I'm not worth a shit at this going live, am I?
Look, yeah, there's that picture.
That's a still frame from the video of that copter going over, and I zoomed in on it. And I actually sent this photo to you.
Yep.
And you forwarded it to somebody who was in the know as far as helicopters, actual military.
Yep.
And he was actually able to tell us what the little attachments, these pods on the front and everything. And the fact that you had a person hanging out the jump seat on both sides, because if you look over here on the opposite landing skid, you can see another set of feet. And this guy, they were both hanging out. And dude, when I tell you that they were within 200 yards of where those white balloons had crossed over my neighborhood 2 days prior, it is not a lie. That is exactly where they were at. So I guess a little bit of self-indulgence here. But it was weird. And those balloons looked like and acted like very similar to the first video that I showed you.
You're right. I mean, eerily similar to both. And again, in your video, I mean, they say in formation, in all honesty, with the helicopter part too. 'Cause I remember when we talked about that, it was over a year ago. I remember it just, I don't know. The UFOs are not my my main knowledge, I should say. Yeah. But there's too much of that right there to be a coincidence, especially with tied in with the drones. And I think that, well, let's see, because you got Ohio, you got Pat right there,
yep.
Which is going to come into play again here in a little bit. But I don't know. It was right after that. It was less than a year later is when the drones came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you think about it. So, and those are about the size of drones. And we've never fully got a full explanation on that. It's like one day they were here and the next day they were gone.
Yeah. And then we get the explanation that, we know about them and they're okay to be there.
Yeah.
FAA says no problem.
Trust your government, folks.
Yeah.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
All right. So enough self-indulgence there. Let's move on to this flap of sightings in Northeast Ohio. So the counties that this is taking place in, roughly an hour and 20 minutes north of where my fiance used to live, and that's about 10 minutes away from Salt Fork State Park. So, Salt Fork is renowned for the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. and a number of sightings there on the property itself. But there has been a lot of attention garnered towards this flap of sightings. March 3rd through the 6th, I think it was. I've got so many notes here that I'm trying to go through my notes, and so the sightings were between March 6th and March 9th. The location cluster was Mantua Township, Windham Township, Garrettsville, Portage, Ohio, Portage County, Ohio, I'm sorry. And then there was also a mention of Cuyahoga Falls. All of these counties roughly between 40 and 60 miles southeast of Cleveland. So, you know, we've got, there's a number of, let's just call it media personalities that are really hammering the shit out of the news about these sightings. And God bless them. You know, I'm all about, let's get the news out there. Let's get sightings reported. And you got apparently several witnesses hiking in the woods near Mantua in Portage County, reported seeing a large hairy bipedal figure on March 6th and 7th. Close enough together that some Bigfoot tracking communities are referring it to the Mantua cluster. Then there's a post circulating among investigator claims that as many as 5 sightings within 4 days in the Mantua Windham area. And then another report claims a possible sighting near Cuyahoga Falls. Every time I hear somebody come on the airwaves, whether it be a show or a post, I just talked to, I just had a conversation with, I just this, I just that. And it leads people to believe that there's a lot going on here, right? And there possibly is a lot going on. Northeast Ohio is, you know, in conjunction with the Appalachian foothills.
Yep.
It's considered an active part of the state. Ohio ranks, I think, it may be in the top 4 as far as sightings for U.S. Bigfoots in the state.
Sorry, I thought somebody walked by. That was weird. Okay.
You know, so then that sends me on a rabbit hole, and I got to start finding out, you know, there's all these sightings. So there must be a significant amount of reports being tendered to the BFRO or other reporting agencies, right? And I hate to say it, but I spoke with Scott Thompson from the Bigfoot Mapping Project a couple of days ago. We had a really nice conversation, got to catch up, and he got a report. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was the first report from the date of the 3rd, I believe it was. But I go to the BFRO website, which is active and, updated regularly, I assume. And here for Ohio, which I have selected already, Most recent reports, we've got September of 2024, May of 2025, June of 2024. So out of all these 7 possible Bigfoot sightings, we've only got one that I can find actual report that has been submitted to a collecting agency such as the BFRO or the Bigfoot Mapping Project. At the time that Scott and I talked, he said that he was willing to share photographs of the prints that were found at the first sighting. He also went on to tell me that the report was by a younger boy, somewhere in the neighborhood of 14, 15, 16 years old, young enough that the parents still were like actively in their life and they didn't want them being bombarded with interviews or questions or appearances or anything like that. But he sent me 2 photographs of supposed prints from this location. This is the first one. And that to me obviously looks like there's some kind of a disruption that happened there. Pretty ambiguous. Doesn't show me a whole lot. The next one, that's interesting, right? But so I start looking at that and I'm like, immediately it causes me a little bit of pause. But then I think, oh, pause. We've all seen our fair share of substantial Bigfoot tracks.
Correct.
And you've got a divergent toe, or you have toes that seem more linear, kind of more even at the top. This one is significantly splayed, right? And there's an odd symmetry to the big toe or the little toe, or vice versa, because we can't tell. First of all, kudos to the kid for taking the picture, but we've got nothing to gauge scale, right? We don't have a foot standing next to it. We can't gauge, the length of it. But when I see this, and then I start going and I start looking at other tracks, it looks like a double print to me. It looks like a bear double step.
Yeah, because you can almost see claws, it looks like.
You can almost.
But it's also really narrow.
Well, and that's the other thing. There definitely is no sign of an instep, right?
Yeah.
It's consistent with a Bigfoot track that has a wider breadth to it. But
look by the hill.
Look
by the hill. Looks like there's a straight line right there. Like it could be from like a boot hill.
Yeah, could be.
You see what I'm saying? And then if you look also further along to the left of that line where that white rock is, right at the indention, there's a little angle right there, like a right angle.
Yeah. And I mean, we're not professional trackers. We don't do this for a living. All I can do is look at something and, it makes me think, okay, maybe Bigfoot, maybe not. Because it just looks weird. It doesn't look like any other tracks that I've ever seen casted.
No, that looks like it was made. And I hate saying that, but if you do, you look, I mean, I can't zoom in, but if you look at the hill, it looks like there's a boot heel instead of a heel. There's an angle, a sharp angle right there at that bright white rock on the left.
Yeah.
There's a straight line where, a boot could have gone in. And it looks like the boot went in a little bit to the left angle. because there's no.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
It's weird.
so this puts me on down a rabbit hole, because like I said, my fiance is from about an hour and a half south of where these counties that had this experience were. And I start thinking to myself, and I'm like, okay, this has been a wild winter. We have had such a crazy weather pattern that I don't even know if you can call it a pattern. So I start looking into unusual weather, and especially for northeast Ohio. At the time that I started doing this deep dive, I was comparing the 2 weeks prior to the sightings and to this, and I found that there was indeed some severe, unusual weather factors that took place in Ohio and in other places in the Midwest, but actually in that area. Going starting late February all the way through March 10th. And I started kind of seeing a pattern here. So we had a rapid freeze. We had below freezing temperatures. Then we had a significant warm up, right? And then we had a major rain cycle that moved through. And then rinse and repeat pretty much did the same thing. So, the average temperature in northern Ohio is 46, 47 degrees. But over those 3 weeks, they had a severe cold stretch. March 5th, 1st through the 5th, had a rapid warm up from into the 40s and 50s. And then widespread rain across the area, including those counties, across the 2nd and the 3rd. And then March 6th through the 10th, they had a continued warm up, and the temperatures went far above seasonal averages. So there were some 62 and 63, and I think even a 70-degree day in that time period. So, then they're getting the prediction of having like anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. You've already got, we had just gotten done with a significant dumping of snow, which dropped about a foot on that area, just a couple of days after it hit here. So then you got a significant thaw. You got snowpack that's collapsing. You've got rain that's helping erode the snow away. The ground in those counties, each one of those counties has a significant lowland area, and several of them have swamps. So you got ground saturation, you got flooding in the low creek bottoms. And what does that do to animals that typically stay there?
Pushes them out.
They're losing their bedding areas, right? So, then I started talking to Scott Tompkins about some of the mapping that he does as far as tracking, and I forget what the initials are, GSH or GIS, where he's actually mapped these areas that all across the United States where you can track through the DNR heavily traveled corridors for large animals. And I asked him to pull up that map, or he had already produced that map, and it falls right in line with those counties, So you got the Grand River watershed, you got Eagle Creek, you got West Branch State Park wetlands, and Mantua swamp system, all right in those counties. So you got a ton of snow in a short period of time. You got temperatures that are making it melt. You've got excessive rainfall, which is aiding and flooding the lowlands.
Mhm.
And you've got a bunch of animals, large, small, in between, that all need to move because they're being displaced. And, so they're going to move towards railroad beds, or they're going to go to rural roads that would be set up higher, field edges and wooded ridge lines, all of which line up with where people were reporting seeing large, dark silhouettes. None of the reports really came out and said, I saw one report where they said large bipedal creature. But nothing I have found has said, a man looking or a humanoid looking creature. So then, I start thinking about, then we got a polar vortex and, rapid warm spells, strong storms. You got large barometric pressure swings, and animals, especially large animals, become really very sensitive to pressure changes. And if Rob's still in the chat here, I guarantee you he knows what I'm talking about because he deals with this when he's, getting ready to
Training.
go hunting for deer season. Deer, that's when hunters often report deer start moving really heavily, and there's unusual activity in animals. Increased predator movement, coyotes and stuff like that as well. And depending on what part of the country you're in, you got large cats and stuff like that. But the one thing that stands out to me is, especially in the last 8 to 10 years, there has been a significant rise in the American black bear population in northeastern Ohio.
We've got them down here too.
So, during this flap, I went outside on one of the days that wasn't in the 20s and decided to get up to 60 some degrees for a couple of days in a row. I was out on the patio, which is right where my pond starts. I got a small ornamental pond with koi and shabunkin in it. And I thought, I'm going to take advantage of this time and I'm going to trim back some of the overgrown branches on my Japanese elm that hangs over the pond. So I went and I got my pole saw and I'm cutting, and all of a sudden it dawns on me. I'm like, holy shit, I'm cutting off twigs that have buds on it. So because of these crazy weather conditions and the rapid warm-ups, I was standing there and I'm looking at pre-emergent buds on my Japanese maple just a few days prior to that. And I'm talking like 2 or 3 days. It was freezing cold out. Overnight lows in the teens and upper 20s. But I've got growth on my tree. And I'm standing there and I look down at my pond and I'm watching my shabunkin and my koi, and they're starting to exhibit the same like they want to start breeding. There's a weird, they rub sides and they kind of slap at each other with the tail, the male does, and it's all trying to get the female primed to get ready to lay eggs. And it's not time for it yet, and especially here, but nature is going through the process of being confused because all of the high temperatures and the low temperatures and all the crazy weather in between. And I'm like, so what if these are just misidentifications? What if these are people who are seeing bear from a long distance away. Dark, they're shadowed, possibly right next to the tree line. And, they're just simply misidentifying.
Possibility. I mean, when you're right, the weather does play a huge, significant role into nature and wildlife. We had the same issue here. Tulips. We had tulips growing. I mean, immediately, same thing. It was bitter cold, and boom, it warmed up.
Yeah.
And tulips just started boom, popping up everywhere. And then, of course, we just had another freeze. We're done now, thankfully, because we're going to be in the 90s this weekend.
Jesus.
But same thing though. Like a month ago, I sent you the footage, pictures, and everything when I was out in the investigation, and yeah, they were having reports of more activity. And I think that because this happened in the 70s, same area in Ohio, 50 years ago. So I'm wondering.
Yeah, in 78.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if they had what the weather conditions were like for that.
You want to know?
I'm just curious. I mean, if it's similar, then that tells us, there's a lot more to, there's a pattern.
Do you know what happened in the Midwest in 1978? The
No.
winter of 1978?
No, I was 3.
It was the blizzard of 1978.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And this year, there's only been 2 snowfall totals that have beat the winter of 78. That's how hard hit the Midwest got this year. So that was an interesting little thing that I was like, okay, so but the situation you're talking about took place early June and supposedly into August.
Right.
And,
so I'm wondering how hot it was.
That was the Minerva encounters.
Yeah, because I'm wondering how hot it was for that, because to me, whether I know down here, the hotter it gets, the lower into the hollers they'll get to try and get cooler.
In one of the articles that I was reading about Ohio, northeastern Ohio during the winter of 78, northern Ohio in 1978, was that there was still snow on the ground in late May. So, I mean, I don't know that has anything to do with it, but you've got an availability of food spiking, right?
Mhm.
Because you got stuff that's budding, you got skunk cabbage that's going to come out, you got early mushrooms, you got frogs, salamanders,
Emerging from hibernation. Yep.
Yeah. So,
well, you got more people in the woods. They were hiking. Most people generally this time of year are not out in the woods hiking.
Right.
And people were taking advantage of the nice weather like you were. You were outside cleaning your pond.
Yep.
So maybe that's part of the uptick all of a sudden of this time of year for the sightings, because more people went out earlier to enjoy the outdoors versus what they would normally be doing.
Right. So, like my goal here isn't to disprove that these sightings didn't happen. I think they did happen, but like when you go and you start looking for these sightings to have been reported, literally I've only been able to find one official report, and that was submitted to the Bigfoot mapping project. And the pictures that were provided in conjunction with that report are the ones that I showed you just previously with the 2 prints. It just, all right. So, like my son would say, if it looked like a bear, it was probably a bear. Okay. If you see a bear standing up on its hind legs, which is not super common, but it is something that they do. What if you were in the right place at the right time and you saw something dark silhouetted against the edge of a wood line? Couldn't make out any detail, but it was obviously standing on 2 legs.
Yeah. I mean, you always got to add that in, no matter anywhere there's, it seems with Sasquatch is always going to be bear as well. So you have to take that into account where it could very well could have been a bear. And I hate saying that, but you have to.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That is the other part of this that you have to, and it's kind of six one way, half a dozen another. It's like Sasquatch seems to habitate the same area that bears do. Bears seem to habitate the same area that there are sightings in Sasquatch. So, you know, what are they seeing? You know, if you're to listen to some people, every one of these is a legit eyes on sighting of a Bigfoot. And I just don't know that that's true.
It also may have been blown out of proportion because the reason why the sightings aren't being reported in because they're reported on social media. And from there, it just kind of blew up.
Yeah.
You know, to be honest with you, I mean, everybody's talking about it in the community. So, you know, that's why I was like, okay, well, this happened in the 70s. They had a huge wave. By the way, you know, Betsy, you remember Miss Betsy?
Yes. Oh, hi, Betsy. I didn't recognize the last name until I just like read it to myself out loud.
I can never pronounce her name. I just call her Miss Betsy. See, you do a better job than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she had a black bear in her back porch as well. So they're being spotted. But in July to August in 1978, historical data shows weather was in the mid to high 70s.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of low for that area, doesn't it?
I mean, historically, I mean, I couldn't even guess, but
okay.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of similarities with the whole weather pattern and all the weird weather that is going on. That yes, it makes total sense that large animals would start moving, and they would leave the comfort of their bedding areas because of oversaturation of the ground and water runoff and all that. So, you know, what am I trying to say? I'm not trying to say that anybody is wrong. I'm just trying to say, let's take a breath. Let's look at everything realistically. Take a good, honest look at what could it be.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a Sasquatch. Is it more likely that what people are seeing would be American black bear?
Mm-hmm.
I think it probably is.
But, you know, on that token too, it's like, you know, in our investigation area here, you know, our first day when we got growled at, very easily could have been a bobcat. Did I see a bobcat? No. Does that mean it wasn't a bobcat? No.
Right.
Does it mean it was anything other than a bobcat? Maybe. But I have to sign on the air of caution. I tell everybody that, you know, yeah, we got growled at. However, it very easily could have been a bobcat. And I have to go and I have to sign on the air of caution of it being a bobcat. But something did growl.
Yeah. And if you go back to my episode 2 and 3, you know, the daughter and the dad described finding the deer carcass up in the tree, you know, 20, 25 feet up. Very unusual behavior for something to drag a deer carcass up into a tree. That's southwestern Michigan. They don't typically, up until this past year, have the DNR agreed to admit that cougars are down here now.
How funny.
So, you know, what's more likely, a Bigfoot killing a deer and throwing it 25 feet up into the tree to hang until they could come back for it, or a cougar dragging a deer up a tree that normally the cougar shouldn't be in that area, but people have been reporting it for years, and now the DNR is finally saying, yeah, they're in that area.
Yeah, we have the same issue. They just haven't come out and admitted it yet. Tons of sightings of black cats.
And again,
Large
my
black
goal
cat.
here is not to cast shade or dispel anybody's truths, but let's, if I didn't know cougars were in this area and have been for a long time prior to them admitting it, I would say, what the hell would take a full ass grown deer and throwing it up in a tree?
And why?
Yeah. But now I got to ask myself, could it have been a cougar? Yeah, it could have been a Sasquatch, but it could have been a cougar too. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely not going to be a coyote, because coyotes don't grow that big around here.
Now, I'm going to take you down a real quick weird rabbit hole about the deer in the tree thing. Okay. So, and I've been preaching this for years. Remember the movie Predator?
Yep.
Okay. I fully 100% believe the movie Predator, the Predator, is based off of a Sasquatch encounter. Whole bunch of Sasquatchy stuff about it.
Okay.
And the Predator took his prey and did what with it? Straight into the tree.
Okay.
Again, it's just one of those,
Yeah.
But and I know you're not trying to throw shade on anybody's encounters and stuff, and I know you're not doing that at all. And you're doing exactly what any good researcher should do, in all honesty, and that's review the facts all the way down. Let's look at everything. What happens, and why did it happen? Why did you see it? What took place? Those kind of things, and it makes perfect sense. I was. For the sightings, my idea was it was migratory. With the weather changes, they were starting to move earlier, and with people being out hiking and being out in the woods more earlier, then the sightings are going up.
Yeah.
So I know that here, in our investigation area last month, we went up there because once the heat it warmed up, boom. I mean, they were having rocks thrown at their house. It'd been kind of quiet all winter. They had some tracks in the snow, but also rocks being thrown past. Exactly. All right, I'm getting short on time. What do you want to jump to next?
Let's. What do I want to jump to next? We covered the Patterson Gimlin pretty good. We kicked the shit out of this horse pretty good. Let's talk about the disappearance of General McCasland.
Very odd.
It is very odd.
Did you look and see that he was working with the guy from Blink 182? He was known as a consultant for his work that he had done. He was also mentioned in the Podesta emails during Hillary Clinton's run for presidency as well.
Well, if you fancy yourself to be informed, there is an extraordinary amount of information available about this guy. He is a very, very, very accomplished professional soldier.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been tied to the UAP disclosure a lot in the media, and there was a what was he, astrophysicist about a year ago, who was, maybe not even a year ago, maybe like 6 months ago, who was killed outside of his house. He had been responsible for finding a couple of planets that were like regarded as being very capable of holding water. He gets killed outside of his own home. And then, you have McCasland shows up, completely just disappears off the face of the earth.
Yep.
They've been looking for him for, what is it now, 2 weeks?
Yep.
And, they're coming up with nothing. I mean, he left his cell phone at home. He
left his cell phone, left everything behind. He did take a 38.
He took a gun, which I thought was weird.
Took his 38 and took his hiking boots. Now they did find an Air Force sweatshirt
Okay.
that was still being tested, by the way. That was like 2 days ago.
But this guy just like jumped off the planet and
Yeah,
just
talked to his maintenance guy. Wife went to a doctor's appointment and she came home and he was gone.
yeah. I mean, this is straight out of Missing 411. And then some stuff comes out earlier yesterday about a woman, Monica Jacinto Reza. She disappeared about a year ago. Similar circumstances. She was out hiking. She was accompanied by a friend who was 30, 40 feet ahead of her. That person turned around. They waved at each other. He turned around again, and she was gone. Never seen again. Never seen again. Nothing found of her. And it's like, then they start putting all these things together, and both of them had been kind of working in conjunction with the development of this Mandaloy. It was the name of this.
So I'm trying to look that up.
It's some kind of alloy that they ended up, I guess, are rockets, or I don't know if it's SpaceX or one of the other NASA or anything, but apparently we were using something that was Russian as far as an alloy that we were getting from them for these rockets, and then they abandoned the use of the Russian stuff in replacement with this Mandaloy. It just is. It's just a strange. I'm not saying that Mandaloy is like something that is extraterrestrial or reverse engineered or some kind of non-human intelligence created alloy. That's not what I'm getting at, but just the fact that he was tied to her in the development of this. He was also tied to Wright Patterson's Air Force Base. Again, if you look him up, he is a very storied, very smart guy. What happened to him? Where'd he go? What are happening to these people that are,
Okay, so I try to spell Mandaloy, right? I had to go through a whole bunch of Hindu stuff, but there is an earthquake data report from January 1991 from the Geological Survey, the United States Department of the Interior Geological Survey earthquake data report, January 1991 by the U.S. Open File Report 91-607, 354 pages long. And it's got Mandaloy mentioned in it. And you start scrolling through it, and then it's just.
All right. Is the spelling Mondaloy?
Let's see this. Let's see. Let me back it up real quick. Mandoloy.
Now this is spelled Mondal.
Oh, okay. I thought I was on something there.
But then I watch begrudgingly. I watch Weaponized. It's a good show, but I have my issues with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. I like them. I like not liking them. And they are a resource to some extent, but I don't necessarily like the way that they do things. But they just recently had Eric Burleson on their podcast, and in the conversation with Burleson, he says that they were trying to get in touch with McCasland related to disclosure, related to wanting to talk to him about things UAP related because of the tie-in with Tom DeLonge.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the name of his To the Stars Academy, I think was his.
Yeah, to the stars.
You know, and that's a whole weird thing because, you know, when To the Stars first broke out, you had boy, am I drawing a blank on the Lou Elizondo was a part of it. He's no longer a part of that. He's off doing his own thing. You know, I mean, it's just it's a weird series of strange bedfellows with this guy, and then he comes up missing, completely gone.
He was in charge of the research and development over there too, I believe. Right, Patterson.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's really hard to keep up with all of the things that he was a part of.
Well, that's where he retired out of. He retired from Ret Peterson,
because he was involved in so much.
Oh yeah. Now his wife has come out and said that it had nothing to do with UFOs, nothing to do with aliens. No, from her, no, nothing to do with UFOs, nothing to do with aliens. And the Silver Alert, they put out that he could be suffering from Alzheimer's, and she's put out no, he was, not suffering anything at all.
Right.
But it is kind of funny how also these people are disappearing, and they're not making major headline news. There's nothing major about it. There's not like, you would think that a retired general in the Air Force who worked at, research and development at Wright Peterson disappears would be kind of big news.
You would think. I mean, it's getting a lot of traction. I mean, there's a lot of accounts that are posting stuff about it, but it's not something that you can actually turn on the news and hear something on a regular basis about it. You know, he was a retired Air Force Major General. He's been missing since February 27th in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Left home within a 1 hour window, left behind his phone, glasses, and whatever wearables would be.
I was trying to figure that was too.
Items that were taken was his wallet, hiking boots, and a revolver. The last known direction he was traveling would have been Sandia Mountains. And there's been no confirmed sightings, no body, no resolution whatsoever to him being gone.
Just a sweatshirt.
Yeah, he's and that's still being tested, so we don't even have anything conclusive about that.
They did say there was no blood on it.
Okay, well,
yeah.
He was a former commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory, former commander of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, director of space acquisition with the Pentagon. He had high-level access to very classified aerospace programs.
Mm-hmm.
Additional information that is limited but confirmed is that his name did appear in a Podesta email leak as a contact of Tom DeLonge.
Mm-hmm.
So, that indirectly associates him with To the Stars Academy.
And he did that for free, by the way.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
You know, he's never been outed as a whistleblower. I mean, he's pretty much outside the circle of modern UAP disclosure. He's not been.
But is he though? Is he really?
And is there truth to Eric Burleson saying that congressional people were trying to get a hold of him to question him about his association with it? You know, anytime you bring the government into stuff, I question whether everybody's telling the truth.
Oh yeah,
but I don't know.
You have to. You have to.
Right.
You have to. Eric, I got to cut this short. I got to get the little ones to bed.
All right, Ben.
I apologize. Thank you though for having me on.
Coming on.
Yeah, definitely. I'll reach out to you. I'll talk to you on Tuesday. I'm going to the woods this weekend, so I get lucky every time. I find stuff every time. So I'll send you whatever I find.
All right. Sounds
All right,
good.
brother. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Good
Carrying
night.
on with the show. Miss Betsy's chatting with you. So love you guys.
Good night.